All right, let's jump right into today's explainer. If you've been following the war, you know humanity has been stuck in this brutal, grinding stalemate for 1,000 years. And the reason? It all comes down to Section 12 of the latest tactical briefing, the enemy's capital, Relaith Prime. It is utterly invincible to conventional warfare. So we're going to dissect the tactical anatomy of this abyssal fortress to figure out exactly why our military just can't seem to crack it.
I mean, think about the logistics here for a second. Every single tactical manual we've ever written, completely useless down there. How do you lay siege to a sprawling megacity built in an environment that literally crushes our absolute best nuclear subs like empty soda cans? Our Navy can barely even scratch the surface of this problem because the Abyssal Cephalopoda have radically mastered their environment. To really understand this, we're heading 6 miles straight down into the pitch-black Challenger Deep. And we're not talking about some hidden reinforced bunker. No, this is a massive, living urban nightmare anchored right into the deep-sea bedrock. It's an entire fortified zone grown directly out of basalt and biogenic sediment. Now, at this crazy depth, the foundation is surviving 1,200 bar of pressure. To put that into perspective, that's roughly like having the weight of a fully loaded commercial airliner pressing down on every single square inch of your body. Any standard titanium sub we send down implodes way before it even reaches the outer perimeter. So, conventional torpedoes, kinetic penetrators, utterly useless. The environment itself is literally their ultimate defensive line. And it really highlights just how completely alien their engineering is. Forget our flat, grid-based, right-angled city blocks. The Abyssals built their city in 3D. We're looking at self-healing biosilicon pylons that reach 2 kilometers high, branching out in all directions like this chaotic, deadly coral reef. It creates this massive labyrinth that makes any kind of urban pacification or infiltration totally impossible for our ground forces. So how do they even get around inside those towering spires? Well, they use gravitronic spatial manipulation. Basically, they bend local gravity so they're in a continuous state of controlled freefall. Every single wall becomes a floor, and it allows these massive 30-meter creatures to move fluidly in a complete 360-degree range. And honestly, even if a human strike team somehow managed to breach an outer wall, they wouldn't last a second. There's no breathable air. You'd instantly hit a freezing, hypersalted liquid ammonia environment. And the only light down there is this piercing blue-green ultraviolet glow, which actually doubles as their high-speed data network. It is just fundamentally hostile to human life. Okay, moving on to Section 1, Powering the Deep, a blood-stabilized grid. Because, as you can imagine, bending gravity on a city-wide scale takes an astronomical amount of energy, but they aren't using traditional nuclear fission. They use atomic silicon fusion. It's basically a room-temperature cold fusion core fueled by ocean sand. This means it operates completely detached from any conventional supply lines, giving them near-infinite tactical power to keep those gravity wells and defenses running. But here is the truly horrifying catch from Section 12. This entire fusion grid would go into a catastrophic thermal meltdown if it wasn't for a specific chemical stabilizer. And that stabilizer? It's harvested human blood plasma. Yeah, the invaders aren't just taking prisoners to be cruel. Their entire city's survival mathematically depends on our biology. They have literally weaponized our population as the fuel to keep their capital from self-destructing. Right, let's look at Section 2, Zoning the Deep, a vertical hierarchy. We're going to take a step-by-step vertical tour of how this whole society actually operates. We'll start way up at the upper docking spires, move down into the industrial mid-levels, hit the elder residential ring, and finally descend all the way down to the heavily guarded trench floor reactor core. So, at the very top of the spires, they have these gravitronic launch locks. This docking array acts like a massive slingshot, suspending and then launching these huge 100-foot living submersibles right toward the surface. This is the exact launch pad for every single surface patrol and harvesting raid they run against us. Moving deeper, we hit the industrial mid-levels, and this is the grim manufacturing sector of the city. This is where they actually take harvested human neural components and wire them directly into their synthetic alien architecture. It is a literal nightmare of flesh and silicon, repurposing human casualties into the very infrastructure we're trying so hard to destroy. Then, near the bottom, we find the elder residential ring. This acts as a centralized hub where hundreds of the ruling caste intertwine their consciousness. They share multi-threaded thoughts through those high-frequency light networks we mentioned earlier. It gives them this unparalleled, frankly terrifying strategic advantage when it comes to orchestrating the war. So put yourself in the shoes of the Human Alliance for a second. You are up against a flawless, pressure-proof, gravity-bending stronghold that literally runs on human blood. The million-dollar question is, how on earth do you destroy an invincible city? Because direct kinetic assaults are absolute suicide. You've got over 1,000 bars of hydrostatic pressure acting as a natural barrier, those self-healing bio-luminescent silica walls, and if you manage to get too close, automated defensive cannons will literally weaponize gravity to crush your fleet instantly.
Which brings us to Section 3, humanity's final desperate option.
Since a conventional naval bombardment is completely off the table, resistance leadership authorized something called the Doomsday Catalyst. It's a bioengineered, self-replicating agent designed to aggressively dissolve deep-sea rock and silica matrices. Basically, if we can't blow it up, we're going to dissolve it. It completely flips our tactical doctrine. Direct kinetic assault is wildly ineffective and just gets human fleets crushed. But enzymatic foundation dissolution, that is highly effective. You don't try to crack the invulnerable walls. You sink a chemical agent to the bottom and dissolve the structural anchors right out from under it. But I want to leave you with this final massive dilemma to wrap up today's explainer. Erasing this alien capital using this catalyst risks severely destabilizing Earth's entire oceanic ecosystem. So if pulling the trigger on total annihilation destroys the enemy, but irrevocably poisons our own oceans, is it worth the cost? And who really wins this war?